Well, hello, folks. It's Huell's Gold again, and it's episode 38.
Or episode 412.
Yeah.
Officially of the series.
Season finale. Third season in the books. Well,
third season finale.
I guess we got to finish this before it's in the books, but this is an interesting topic just based on name alone. Terra Cotta. What did you like?
What was the first thing I thought of?
Yeah, when you think of Terra Cotta, what did you think this episode would potentially be about?
About Terra Cotta? Well, I only know about it because Kathleen is from Lake Elsinore.
Yes.
And Terra Cotta it's plastered all over the place. And apparently there was a clay mining deal out there, and the city was called Terra Cotta.
Well.
And then it was annexed or incorporated into Lake Elsinore.
Would you look at that?
That's all I know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know anything really about Terra Cotta besides their pots that people put their house plants in.
Yeah. I had two kind of thoughts when I saw the episode coming up. One is like the Terracotta Army in China. You know about that?
No.
Well, good thing I did my little bit of research so I didn't sound like a like a terracotta brain. It's an army of all these clay soldiers that was part of a tomb for the first emperor of China, Jin Shi Huang, back in the 3rd century BCE.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure you must have seen it. In fact, if you go into Billy's Bamboo Chopsticks,
yeah,
where Cantonese cooking is an art, you know when you first go right in the front door, there's that
Buddha?
No.
That's in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's that like soldier-looking guy made of, like stone kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
That's a replica of one of those.
Oh.
Yeah, because they just discovered this thing where there's these hundreds of these individually sculpted terracotta soldiers. They found it in 1974 in Lintong in China. Because there were these farmers who were finding these bits of like roofing tiles and like things that looked kind of humanoid in shape. And they're like, what's going on here? Archaeologists come in, dig up, find hundreds of soldiers, tombs, craziness.
There's a whole world out there.
Right?
In Asian history.
I mean, we're sticking to California. This is all we got time for.
I know, but you can only specialize in so many things, have a general knowledge.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff.
Almost too much.
That you miss out on.
The second thing was, yes, terracotta pots. But it reminded me of one of the weirdest situations. When I lived in San Francisco, I worked at a paint store. And it's not even my story. I was just a bystander to it. But these people in this paint store, the patrons, they sometimes would get a little hot-headed about things. Because this was like kind of a, it's funny to even say, a more well-to-do area of San Francisco, if you could even imagine so. But they were pretty particular. And a guy comes in and he's wanting some paint that's terracotta colored, specifically. And my coworker started kind of like hounding him about what kind, not hounding him, kind of questioning him what kind of paint, like what finish, all the different questions you need to ask. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, because the guy's like, well, I don't know, just paint. And he's like, well, I need to know because if you're going to be painting it on these terracotta pots, like I need to know what kind of paint you need. And he's like, why the bleep would I paint my terracotta pots terracotta colored? And that's when I walk in, as I just see this guy screaming this at my coworker. And I just kind of, when Homer melts back into the bush, that was me going back to the back.
Oh, man.
So I thought of that, like, is Huell gonna maybe paint some terracotta? Turns out, no, not even close.
Paint terracotta.
Yeah. So cold open this week. This is what reminded me of this too, is we're starting in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been to Civic Center, Opera House?
Never.
That area.
No.
Because Huell starts off right at the front of the Opera House, and there's some cool little terracotta, which I never would have thought that's what that was. I thought it was just
Stone,
yeah. Not some sort of like molded clay. But I saw this place, another San Francisco story, sorry, every day because I worked as a doorman for a building in kind of downtown
Terracotta building?
No. It did kind of have a now that I'm thinking about it, its little claim to fame there was it had this archway for the entryway of the building, and it was the entry kind of corridor for the 1900 whatever it was World's Fair in San Francisco.
Okay.
And it was kind of the same terracotta stuff. Anyway, it was across the street from the Opera House, so I saw it every day.
That's cool.
Every night. I was night shift. I wasn't the best doorman, so they had me at night, so I didn't have to open the door as much, I guess.
You had a well-fitted suit, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
From Goodwill?
Full disclosure, I never washed it once the whole time I worked there. That's why I wasn't a good doorman. Also, it's funny because being the doorman, all that meant was the door was automatic, and we had a little click button open boy thing.
Uh-huh.
And so I would just sit at the desk. I'd be like watching stupid movies that I brought and just click and then let them in.
You were inside or outside?
Inside. Outside.
Outside, okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we get to learn, at least from the first bit, that terracotta is apparently ubiquitous.
Yeah.
In architecture.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in California either, right?
Worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of an ancient technology.
Right.
It's just clay and water put in a fire. Pretty simple.
Yeah. A little slap in here. A little push in there.
Oh,
Good
man.
to go.
But the theme this week, because we did the cold open in San Francisco, and then we're clicking over to our main area that you'll hear about in a second, but the theme...
Yeah, the Terracotta Boys. Right?
The clay players. It's just a regular old bluegrass version again.
Right.
2 banjos, 1 guitar, whole lot of clay pipe.
And we get some of Louis' artistic depth. We get it. We get the theme song through a terracotta pipe.
Through specifically a sewer pipe.
Sewer pipe, yeah.
Lucky us.
Very, yeah.
Despite the view through the sewer tube, it's not a crappy version whatsoever.
So dumb.
It's very good.
So did you notice the haircut?
On whom?
I believe he was playing the guitar. He was on, our left,
one of the clay
right.
players?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Oh, he's a banjo player.
All right. Yeah, that's just a mullet.
That's just a smooth mullet.
It's very smooth.
And you can tell that we're going to be on the show today. Give me a fresh cut. Fresh cut.
Oh, man. But Huell needs to really break it down. It's a short clip. There's only one clip because we're only in one place this week, but Huell's going to kind of give us a lowdown. So Huell, hit it.
Our destination was the pleasant little town of Lincoln, located 30 miles northeast of Sacramento in Placer County. Now, we were there to visit Gladding McBean Company that's been operating out of the same Lincoln location since 1875. Driving through the gate, I was prepared for an interesting tour of the place, but I had no idea just how special this experience would turn out to be. Because when you visit Gladding McBean, you are literally engulfed by a sense of our state's history.
So first things first, we get to meet the gang.
The whole gang.
The gang at Gladding McBean Company, which, if you didn't catch it the first time, if you watch the episode, Pete says it about 82 times. So many times.
It's such a mouthful, too.
It is.
Oh, man. So, yeah, with the whole gang, it's funny that we meet all these dudes and Huell yells back at them, "We'll see you later, fellas." And we're not, never again.
Nope. You just should say bye.
Yeah.
See ya.
So you mentioned Huell's look last week.
Yeah.
How he had like the blue polo striped shirt, like Polo brand. This is Ralph Lauren Polo. No messing around.
Right.
With the black jeans. This week, he's just got a white polo with the black jeans. This is like, he's holding firm on the look.
Mm-hmm.
Pete, on the other hand, our main tour guide, Pete Peterson. And you'd think it would be Pete Peterson. No.
Peterson.
Peter. Pederson. Never seen that before.
Not Peter Peterson.
Do you think it's like Pedersen?
Pedersen. It could be,
He doesn't say.
He doesn't
Does
say it. No.
Not his full last name.
No. But we do get, as we depart from the crew here, we get to see the front of the Exploder. Or the Explorer. Just kidding. It's an old mechanic joke. The Explorer.
Yeah.
And did you notice
You told
the
me
license plate number?
You teased me on it, and you didn't tell me for sure what you had found. What was it?
So, if we go back the season before,
Yeah.
so the 300 series, and 303
Yeah.
of California's Gold, we get a ZW JG189 license plate number.
Okay.
Okay, and then episode 403 of this season, we have 3ABZ800 in episode 403.
Yeah.
So now we're on episode 412, and we have 3CTP110. This is a new car in the same season.
It's like the exact same model and everything.
Yeah, it's all
Like,
the same.
It's the Jurassic Park model of Ford Explorer.
That's right.
I really never believed that it was really as true as Louis said, that they got a new one every year.
It just wasn't a thing to him. He said, we got one all the time. I don't know.
So I don't know if there really was a brand new one every year for all, whatever it was, 20 years of the show.
Mm-hmm.
There's 20 old Huell Explorers out there?
Dude, could be.
I mean, it really lends to your Exploders if they had to give them a new one every year because they just kept blowing up.
I still want to know how many miles they put on every year. That would have been, I mean, not that Louis would actually know. It's not like he looked at the
No.
odometer.
I mean, really what we need to do is search out these license plates and see if any of them are still associated to one of these Explorers. I don't know if that's even possible, but
Yeah, I don't know. I can check it out.
I think it'd be worth it because if we could potentially like find where that car was and maybe contact. Dude, this is so far-reaching.
We could do a show inside of one of the Explorers.
Just ask them, like, the thought that they would still be the owner who got it from Huell Productions is very unlikely. But
Right.
that'd be a cool thought. So let's break down old Peter. Well, he's Pete Peterson.
Yeah.
He's kind of got our Cal Gold uniform on.
At least one half, but sub the mesh hat for a hard hat.
Yeah. Because he's got the glasses holder in a plaid shirt. He's kind of got like the construction version of it.
Yeah.
You notice his old man worn out tat on his forearm?
So under my description, I have half the Huell's Gold uniform.
Yeah.
Definitely a war vet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That tattoo.
That's like
war vet.
I was in
all
the
over it.
Navy kind of a tattoo for sure.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he's wearing a stretch Casio digital watch.
Yeah.
Which would have been hot in this era.
There are some shots later on that we're going to get to that the watch kind of comes in frame closely, and that's the same watch that Dell the character played by John Candy in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, tries to sell to get, I think it's a train ticket.
Uh-huh.
That's all I think of when I think of Casio watches, because
My dad had one just like that. That's what I thought was funny.
I actually always wanted one of those watches because my grandpa had one similar to it. It was like a gold one that he had gotten for retiring from whatever warehouse job he had or whatever, but it would pinch so bad. I don't know how they did that all the time.
Well, it would pull the hair in your arm too.
Yeah.
So, did your mom ever have a stretchy digital ring watch?
I didn't even know that was a thing, much less did my mom have one.
My mom had one.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Knowing your mom and the eclectic nature of the things she owned, it was,
oh,
man, if only you had that now.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I need to see what time it is. Hold the fist up to your face.
Or what time is it? You just hold it up?
Or would she hold it so she could, like, almost like when you're admiring a ring?
That's when I realized, because I have sort of dainty hands, like they're a bit smaller. When I tried on I forget the size, like a 4mm wedding ring, and I did this. I looked up. It was gold. I said, nah, it won't look good on me. So it was silver.
Well, old Pete has a gold. His ring has got to be like a size 20. Guy's got some meaty paws on.
Oh,
him.
yeah.
Well, as you know, Terra Cotta, we're all about looking at these different things that are made out of clay, basically. Yeah, it's just clay. And old Gladding McBean mostly is in the clay pipe business these days. Sewer pipes. 75%, according to Pete, of their business is clay sewer pipes. Super boring kind of thing in comparison to what Huell's really there for.
Right.
Which this is like straight up art stuff that old Pete has taken him to. And they call it the shack. Is that what they call it?
Caverns.
Caverns, that's right. And like I said, there's no more clips to this because they just roll into everything.
Just shot to shot.
And this area that they go to in the caverns is just chock full of all the different things that these artistic things that they've made for buildings, events, like all kinds of stuff. Too many to name here.
Right.
But it's interesting that this area is set up almost like a museum exhibit. So I looked into it. You can't go tour this place. There is a whole Gladding McBean website. It's pretty well done. It's got a bunch of this history.
They're calling it Gladding McBean.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I did, huh? Because that's what I have written down.
And I like it, though. That actually is easier to say.
Than Gladding
McBean.
Because I wrote that down because that's what it sounded like until I saw it written down under Pete Peterson's name.
Yeah.
Okay, Gladding McBean.
Is that the same McBean from McBean Parkway?
Dude. Where everyone from Bakersfield stops in old Valencia. Is that Valencia or?
It may be Saugus. It may be
one of
Santa
those,
Clarita. We don't know.
One of those Santa Clarita Valley towns to stop at a gas station on your way home.
So good.
Yep. I'm going to go with yes. Same guy.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Either way, again, there's too many to list because they're just going like bam, 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 5 seconds on each one of these different pots and forms and gargoyles.
Did you notice what Pete said when they came by? It was sort of a mural. He says, I'm not really sure what that is. I think it's a Father Sierra.
Yes. Oh, man. I was waiting for Huell to correct him.
No, just...
Because I don't think he would have straight up said, like, hey, it's Sarah. But he would say, oh, so that's Father Sarah, huh?
No, not even.
Nope,
just
nothing.
let it slide.
No. So, I called this the show and tell session. Because it really feels like old Pete is just showing off all this stuff. And his title is Production Superintendent. So it doesn't seem like he actually does any of the physical labor anymore. I mean, he's got those meaty paws. He did something back in the day. But I don't really know what to say about this stuff. It's definitely worth a watch to just see.
I was going to say, you have to just kind of watch it. Just to see what it is.
It's too visual of a thing to really describe. But one thing that happens is this kind of crescendo of excitement with Huell. Like, he starts off just kind of like, oh, cool. Oh, wow. Amazing. And it just gets, it's like a fever pitch after a while. But there are different segments here.
Yeah. I think the process of putting the clay in the molds is probably the most interesting bit. Did you catch the guy's name?
Umberto.
I kept hearing Humberto. So look at this. Humberto. H-U-M.
He is not into being on camera right now.
No.
So, like we said, with the different segment, we have entered the hand pressing department, which is where all of the handmade terracotta items are made. And we're looking at Umberto make some clay thing in a mold. And no smiles, no looking at the camera, nothing.
All biz.
But Huell finds the clay.
And he gives it a pinch, a tap, a pat, and then he wipes his hand
On his pants.
on his pants, and then on the side of the.
Oh, what?
You didn't see that bit?
No, I just saw
Check it out.
Because you can hear him make the swish, swish sound on his pants when
that's
he's
funny.
wiping it off. But I didn't see him do that. Either way, Umberto's not into it. He's just like, bro, let me just do my thing. I got to get this clay in here. And Huell eventually, okay, I got to see this clay thing. Pinch, pinch, squeeze, squeeze, pat. And, yep, right on the burlap sack.
It's barely hanging. That's right. It wasn't
Poor
a tap.
guy.
It was a squeeze.
Yeah.
Put back.
So once we're done with Umberto for a second, we go over to the next. Did they say his name?
Cruz.
That's right. And he's kind of like putting the finishing touches on a piece.
Which is super cool.
Yeah. This is major like artisan work here.
Well, I'm not going to say that Cruz doesn't look like an artisan. I just don't think that he. Well, how would I put this? Maybe he didn't know he was going to be on TV that day.
Because of the tank?
It's like a baggy tank. You can see everything when he lifts his arm, and his hat on backwards.
Hey man, like they said in the beginning of the episode, it's 110 degrees here in Lincoln.
I get it. I totally get it.
They're in this old 130-year-old hut.
They don't have one of those Nike Dry Fit
No.
tees for Cruz.
No. It also seems like he's just kind of messing with this thing he's got here. It's like a ledge. He's making like a building's ledge.
Just with his finger.
Yeah. I think he's just like, I was already done. I just got to keep pretending I'm doing it. Oh, did you notice he's got the hat, like the kind of trucker hat lifted up so you can see the negative space between hat and head?
It's an old grandpa way to wear your hat.
Yeah.
See, it looked like one of the hats. I had one when I played baseball. Like those
The
cheap,
JBA?
No, Fairfax.
Yeah. DP
Those-
side, I forgot.
Those cheap mesh hats you used to wear, and it just said Pepsi on it,
Okay.
or some cheap whatever.
It's like a painter's hat.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah. Okay, so switching gears again.
Okay, I thought this was cool.
Yeah.
We
We're
get
back-
to see a piece turned and disassembled.
Yeah, we're
of the
back
mold.
with Umberto. They got the mold. They're taking it apart. And while it's happening, Huell says, oh, so that's how a mold works. Nothing more to say there.
No, that's okay.
That's
It's-
it.
If you didn't know, you didn't know.
You didn't know. So this is pretty cool stuff. And it's funny to kind of watch Huell and Pete just stand back. Okay. There's another Tim Allen joke. The second week in a row I'm saying Tim Allen stuff.
Okay.
But one of the things that I remember him saying a lot that has come true in my life as a grown-up, sorta, is whenever I've been doing some sort of work, and like you've mentioned in other episodes, I have, for a number of years, cleaned pools. That's a job I've had for a while. Men like to stand and watch me do it a lot. And that's a joke in that Tim Taylor always said, or not Tim Taylor, well, Tim Taylor did, Tim Allen did, that men like to just come and watch other men do work and kind of ask them questions. And that seems like what Pete and Huell were doing, watching Umberto and his other friends take this thing apart, just hands on hips, just, so that's how a mold works, huh?
That's true. That's a good observation.
That's the Tim Allen charm right there. Switching gears again.
I forget what they called this. They called this I called it a time capsule room.
Well, no. It's technically called the modeling department, and Pete called it a fantasy wonderland. And then Huell immediately says, no, I'm calling it a time capsule. No, Huell. Fantasy Wonderland sounds so much cooler. But it is kind of a time capsule in that it seems very untouched. It's like a little snapshot in time. Speaking of snapshots, did you notice that as Louis is panning, he's not even really panning. He's kind of like walking shimmy sideways to keep Huell and Pete in frame in front of this gigantic easel, which gigantic meaning these things are like 20 feet high, where they're working on the clay. There's a little mirror hanging there, and Louis is in the mirror wearing his purple polo shirt. Oh, man. It's so fleeting. It's like 2 seconds.
That's funny. I did not notice that.
Yeah, old Lou Dog making a
good.
Making a kind of a cameo of sorts, I guess you could call it. But these easels, this is where, because this is the modeling department, this is kind of the sculpting room. This is where the real deal artwork was being done. Like the original pieces that were made, that then molds were made of to make the productions, was done in this room. And this is like, they're showing still pictures in the episode of these humongous statues and things. Where are those? Why weren't those in the show and tell room?
I don't know.
What can you say? I mean, they're gone.
They're gone.
Well, one thing that Pete does say around this time is that back in the heyday of the artistic period that they're kind of exploring here, the early 1900s, Gladding McBean would take pictures of all the different pieces that they would produce. And there ended up being 10,000 glass plate negatives that were donated to the California History Library. And now there's like a chronicle of all that early work nowadays. The funny thing that he says, though, did you notice this, that Pete says, if you ever want to go get one developed, you can just go on down. No, you can't. There's no way, right?
I don't know.
I've never gone, like, hey, museum, can I get a copy of that picture?
Yeah, give me a pic. Whatever. 9,212. But did you notice Huell's reaction when Pete lets him know that there's a picture of every single whatever sculpture they did?
Mm-hmm.
Huell says, everyone? It just keeps going. Like he's so...
Does not believe it.
Just doesn't believe it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
There's this quick little diversion here with old Ray Johnson. And he worked there for 45 years. Now, anyone who works somewhere for 45 years is going to have the lowdown. And he obviously is retired now because he's got a shirt from a place that you would only go to when you're a retired man and you have the time to do it. It's a
Tuesday morning shirt.
What? No. It's a like a tourist shirt from Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Dayton, Ohio.
Have you been?
No. I guess I got it now. I mean, I'm nowhere near 45 years in the drafting department and retiring
Well, the
to
pool
go to
business,
such a
right?
place. Yeah, right. Either way, he's kind of the historian of the place now. And if you go to gladdingmcbean.com, which I did earlier today, there's a whole history timeline, pictures, breakdown of the whole history of the company and its artwork. Kind of cool that there is that much history going on here.
That is cool.
But we're going to...
It's time to turn up the heat.
There you go. We're going to the cooking area, as Pete calls it. What do you think? Like, did you... Here's a question. Did you take ceramics in high school?
I did.
Did you take it for 2 years?
Nope.
I did.
Tell me about it.
Because I went into I took it freshman year. First day of sophomore year, I signed up for drama class. Don't know what the heck I was thinking there. Was in there for about 15 minutes before I walked out, went to the counselor's office, and requested to go back into ceramics. So, yeah. Did you like it? Did you get to do much stuff?
Yeah, I came up with a very obscure project. She said, make whatever you want to. I had a cat with a hand coming out of its back. Right? I don't know why. This is what I did.
Okay.
But when we were doing it, my teacher would play calming music. And
Okay.
what do you think she chose?
Jars of clay.
That would have been perfect, but no.
Okay. What did she play?
Enya.
Of course. I was going to go there, but
You
why
should've
would
went
I?
there. You should have.
Why would I think such an obvious one?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if we'll let the listeners decide. If email us or comment on something to tell us which one of these two things you think is weirder. You said you made a cat with a hand coming out of his back.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very odd choice. Our assignment was to make an animal. And I thought, okay, good enough. I already know what I'm going to do. Don't know why I already had this in mind. I decided to make an elephant. But not just an elephant. I wanted to make a stand-up comedian elephant.
Okay.
So I made an elephant in the vein of Drew Carey. Like,
do you still have this?
It stayed at my mom's house all this time. It may be somewhere tucked away.
That's funny.
She has some of my other ceramic stuff, but gosh, I gave him a name too. I forget what it was. Something funny. It's written on the foot of it.
It's so funny that Kathleen has like these well done pots that she made, like little mini guys, and they're almost like perfect. And that's what she made.
You made the cat with the hand
Just a
back,
stupid thing, yeah.
and I made. Oh man, I can't remember his name. A stand-up comedian elephant. Man, we would have hung out a lot more in high school if we went to the same school. Either way, this cooking thing, man, we didn't get to mess with the kilns in high school.
Not at all.
And watching this, like, I'm glad we didn't, because I would have burned my whole face off.
Dude, this guy builds a door every time, which I thought was...
And these kilns are like 2 stories high. Like, these are gigantic things. And they get up to 2,080 degrees.
Which is crazy. But...
To quote Smash Mouth, might as well be walking on the sun.
That's so stupid. Okay, but really the only bit of this that's entertaining, this is my own opinion, is when Huell gets too close to the furnace door.
He tries to go do an interview with the furnace guy.
It's blowing heat.
What did I wrote the same thing, I think. Huell tries to interview in front of fire, gets blown out.
Dude, his face puts his hand up and just walks off.
Yeah,
off
and
screen.
then that's the end. They fade to black. That's the end of that segment. I think he got burned a little bit.
I think he did. He singed some
Some of his
eyebrow hairs
salt
or
and
something.
pepper. Because he's got his sunglasses on in the next shot.
Maybe he's like the X-Men that wear sunglasses.
Cyclops? You think the Terra Cotta turned him into Cyclops?
I don't know.
I don't think you know how the X-Men work.
I'm not well versed.
No. It's a genetic mutation.
I was more into The Critic as a cartoon.
The John Lovitz cartoon? I mean, I guess I liked Life with Louie, so I guess I can't judge too much. But, dang. Oh, I haven't thought about The Critic in a long time. Ooh, let's get back to Huell, because we're back with Pete. We're almost going to wrap this up, because they're back outside just hanging out with the clay pipes. And does it feel to you like Huell doesn't really know how to end this?
This is how I imagine... It's stream of consciousness, for sure. But it's how I imagine him to talk to Pete off camera, telling him how they should stand.
Yep.
To get the smokestacks in the background.
Because they walked, it's a long shot of them walking kind of a far length to get to that specific spot.
But even then, Huell still came out with a one-liner that was excellent.
What was that?
He said, these smokestacks are as much of a part of tomorrow as they were yesterday.
You think he wrote that?
Well, it was sort of developing because that was Pete's idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but he didn't articulate it very, very well, but the idea was there.
Huh.
It's like, we've been part of history. We're going to be a part of the future as well. And so then Huell just boxed it or repackaged it into a one-liner.
That's good.
Which I thought it was good.
Yeah. Well, that's it in Lincoln. Huell's going to wrap it up back in San Francisco.
Well,
what?
This is the first multi-city cut that he does.
Dude, don't get ahead of us.
Okay, I'm just saying, he'll end it there, but not really.
We're at the end segment here.
He starts to end it.
Yeah, because he wants to show... He started at Civic Center, showing us the Opera House Terra Cotta, and then he's now at Market and 3rd at the Hearst Building.
Oh, because everyone knows where Market and 3rd is.
I did, because as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, I know where that is, because my roommate, Eddie, worked at the CompUSA that I think was on that block.
CompUSA?
Dude, yeah.
That was a long time ago.
I lived there in 2007.
Yeah.
If I remember right, that was also I think the same block across the street, there was a Del Taco. And someone who shall remain nameless dropped their cell phone in the trash can because they left it on the tray when they went to dump their papers and junk. And then went all the way home. And then realized what had happened, went back and dug through all the Del Taco trash and found the cell phone. That's the kind of fun I had in San Francisco.
Well, that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
Living there.
Eddie will like that is in perpetuity now. Either way, this shot is seamless.
Dude.
The sound,
so good.
Okay.
Even the levels, right? Everything's perfect. But so the building, you said Market and 3rd. Did you mention the actual building?
The Hearst building, yeah.
The Hearst newspaper building. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then what? Where are we at?
LA City Hall. 300 miles away. Different clothes, different day, same Huell, same sound level. Dude, perfect seamlessness.
That's it. You just have to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch any part of the show, you have to watch the ending. It's so good.
Not the full ending really is, again, slow-mo shots. This is like season 3 through and through. Let's have some loud, classical music with slow-mo shots that we've already seen in regular speed.
At least it wasn't in black and white. It's still in color.
Yeah, well, there were some of those old shots that were black and white, so some.
That's true.
But anyway.
Well, there it is. That's season 3.
Season 3 in the books for real now. What do you think we should do for our in-betweener this year? Or, well, I guess it's a year. This season.
How do you feel about Moscow?
Moscow by Night?
Oh, jeez.
You mean when Huell went to Moscow?
Yeah.
I think we need to leave California. I can't believe I'm even saying that, but I think we need to go.
Well, Huell thought it was a good idea to go.
You ain't telling me. For those of you that don't know, back before California's Gold even really started, Huell took a trip to Moscow in Russia to see what this country was like. It was right after the Iron Curtain had dropped, and he goes by himself to Moscow just with like kind of a camcorder just to experience it on his own. And he gets himself into some interesting places. And we're going to roll it through. It's going to be a 3-parter, 3-in-1. In Moscow, Huell meets a mother and son duo where the son is an artist. And he makes these political cartoons. And it's one of the funny, interesting segments that happens in that show. But then he moves on. Fast forward a couple years, visiting is off and rolling. We get an update where we see that mother-son duo has made their way to the U.S. They got, I guess, like a refugee status somehow. Came in, and Huell documents that whole transition for them. And it's pretty interesting and funny because Huell is all up in the mix with these people at this very kind of important moment in their lives, and he's right there when they get off the plane. And then,
so funny.
Yeah, fast forward a couple more years, we meet up with the son, who is now a pretty well-known artist of political cartoons in the U.S. and still is to this day. But we'll learn all about him, his mom, Moscow, the
great music,
the kind of disco that they like to listen to, how they work out, everything. It's all about Russia. It's all about Moscow. It's all about Huell. And we hope that you come along with us next week and every week as we continue our search for
Huell's
gold.
Huell's
Gold.
Huell's
Gold.
Huell's
Gold.
Huell's.